Good morning and welcome to Book Club. We are on chapters 15 and 16. And you guys, my heart is pounding in my chest right now because, I think this chapter 15 is one that is super hard for everybody to listen to, but maybe harder for some of you, depending on where you are in your life. And so, it's talking about, I will never get past this. That's the lie. And that's the lie. And that's the hope inside of this chapter. But if you're in the middle of something really hard, I'm going to give you permission that if you don't want to listen and you can't listen right now, then that's okay. If you have the strength to sit here and be with us and let us love on you and help you through your hard, know that that's our heart in our community, is to be this group of people that have the gift of solidarity, that have all gone through hard things, different hards for everybody, but that we love each other through all of it. But I just want you guys to know that you don't have to listen if this is something you don't want to listen to. And if you do listen, I want to apologize now if I say something that's wrong or hurt you on accident, because I would never hurt you. Gosh, I would never hurt anybody. And I would never want to hurt you when you're already hurting, if you're going through something hard. So if I do say something that does not make sense to you, or that you go, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, then please forgive me now and trust my heart for you is that it's to love you and to help you. And I'm sorry if I say something that hurts you, because this chapter talks about hard stuff. And you guys, that's the thing about going through hard things, is that you feel things that people that haven't gone through what you're going through don't know how it feels. We don't know what it feels like. We just love you and we do our best to try to help you. And sometimes we say the wrong things on accident. So if I do that, I just want you guys to know that I'm sorry now, and that our heart is to help you. But we want to help you with what it is you're going through. And hopefully, what my heart is that God will speak to you through me, and that you will hear the words that will comfort you and give you the strength and the courage and just the peace, knowing that you are going to get through whatever it is that you're going through, because I know that He gives us a promise that He would never give us more than what we can handle. And I am so grateful, because I've had to rely on that promise from my Heavenly Father more than once in my life as well. So we go through hard times, you guys, but the gift, what I know also is that the gift and the hard for us is that we get to now turn around and help other people go through it once we've gone through it. And that is really what I believe is the only reason why we go through hard, is that there's a purpose in it. There's a bigger plan. There's a purpose that is going to help more people down the road. So if you can, stay in that and look around and take and think back on your heart and see who is it that is going through something like what you have gone through already, then you can turn around and use that for good. And what was maybe meant for harm in your life can be turned around and be a blessing and do so much more good in your life and for other people than any of the bad. And you can start to be grateful for it. And not grateful, you guys, because you're glad you had it happen, or you're glad that you're having to go through it, but grateful that you can still, in all of the ugly and all of the hard, whatever that is for you, you can find gifts in it. You can find blessings in it. And that's the strength that you're looking for, and the gift in it for you is that whenever you can start to see the good, and hopefully I can start to see so I can read what my notes are. She talks about whenever she, her brother committed suicide, and she was the one that found him whenever she did it. And she said that the only way to get through, to get on the other side of this, was trudging through it. And you guys, whenever I was in my master's program, I was already working with kids that had cancer. And I am so grateful, because I got to study grief a lot in my master's program, and it helped me to learn what grief was really. And grief, you guys, there's so many different stages of grief whenever you look at it and study it. And people think, okay, well, check, I went through that stage. Check, I went through that stage. And that's a lie. Like, we never get over the grief of a pain that we've suffered, or a loss that we've suffered, or having, losing somebody that we love. We never get over that. And that's what, some of those dumb things that people say on accident. And it's you get through it. And I don't even know if you get through it, because when you get through it, you just go back around and go through it again. And that's how grief works. It's a cycle. And it's not like you go from this stage to this stage to this stage nice and neat. It's like you're jumping all around and bouncing all around, and you are constantly just in one stage or another in your grief process. But it's a process. It's never ending. But what the gift or the good in it is that you get better at it. You don't get through it, but you learn how to get through the different stages, or take what each stage gives you in grief, and learn how to either enjoy it or get through the hard part of it faster, because you know what you did the last time that helped you get through that hard part in your grief, and you get more experience with it. It's kind of like Arbonne. Whenever, this is a process, and the more we do it, the more we know, oh, this worked for me last time, I'm going to try this again this time. And you get better at it, because we are in a process, and we're never, ever going to be, perfect at it. We're always going to hit obstacles. We're always going to hit stages in our businesses and in our grief, but we're going to learn how to get better at it. We're going to get more skilled at it. And that is the truth about grief, because you're never going to get over something hard. You're just going to get better at dealing with it. So that was just like an important thing that I know I learned, and helped me understand my own grief, but also grief whenever I was working as a nurse. She talks about just how she focused on it, and how she obsessed over all of the things that could happen to her family. And that happened, you guys. She said I obsessively planned out the funeral of my husband and my children as a sick coping mechanism for the fear that something could happen to them too. And you guys, I did the same thing whenever I was in that world all the time. And it's normal. I mean, it's normal to fear the loss of somebody that you love in your life. When you love them so much. I mean, I know, whenever you are a mom for the first time, and you think, oh my gosh, I love this little person so much. And you think the very worst fear you have in your life is that something could happen to them. And yet at the same time, you will ruin and give up the blessings that you have by focusing on not having them so much that you forget to live with them and enjoy the blessings of them while you have them, or when you have them. And I will tell you guys, that's my goal. Like I've said before on these calls with these moms, like whenever you're stressing out over a newborn, my goal was that I helped you be able to feel comfortable and equipped to know what you needed to do with this little person in your life, so that you didn't just spend your whole time with them being stressed out by them and worrying about what you were doing wrong, that you truly got to relax and just soak them in and up and enjoy every single day that you have with them, and not waste it by worrying. Worrying is, for me, a sin. And I used to be a big worrier. But now I've told you guys, if I'm worrying about it, I have to ask myself, is there something I can do? Are my kids unsafe? If they're sick, am I doing all I can to help them get what I know they need to be healthy again? And if I'm doing all I can do, then my job at that point is then to trust, for me, my Heavenly Father, and to leave and trust the rest up to Him. And you guys, this is where I know we are not a Christian company, and I cannot put my faith on you, and I don't want to. But what I want you to know is that I'm a hope dealer. In Arbonne, I am passionate about giving Arbonne away, because I love giving hope to the world. But what I want you guys to know is that what I know and what gives me peace in this chapter that she's talking about, the death of her brother, and what gave her peace, is the hope of heaven. And if you don't know what that hope is, and you don't know what that feels like, you guys, find somebody who you can trust And if that's somebody in your Arbonne family, if that's me, I'm not great at witnessing to people. I don't claim to be great at it, but what I claim is to love you enough to give you the hope that I have in my life that has helped me get through the hard. And it's the only thing I know, you guys, that helps me get through some of the hards that we have to go through, because we're all going to go through hard. And this is the gift that I've been given and the hope that I have. And I'm just as passionate or more passionate about that than I am Arbonne's. And so I am extending an invitation to everyone who may not know what the hope of heaven is like, because life on this earth, we know as believers, is but a vapor. It is just a tiny little wisp in the wind compared to eternity with our Heavenly Father. And you know what, you guys? This is something that I tell people, and it may show my lack of faith to some people, but what I tell people who I know are struggling with whether they want to believe or should they believe in what I believe, you know, do you believe what I believe? And if you don't, that's okay. But let me tell you what I boil it down to at the very last, like, smallest thing in my head whenever I go, am I right or wrong to believe what I believe? What I go down to is I would rather believe and find out I'm wrong, that there's not eternity in heaven and there's not a home in heaven that my Father has prepared for me after I leave this earth. I would rather believe that there is right now and have that hope getting through this life that I'm going through, and then find out it's not true, versus not believing and not knowing and having a way to get there and then find out it was true. That's what I boil it down to for people. And that's what it gets down to me. If you want to argue with me or try to believe what I believe, that's how I simplify it for myself. And I would rather believe I can, and it is, just like in Arbonne, I would rather believe I can do Arbonne and I can change my life and it will work for me, than and do my very best at it and then find out maybe it didn't work out as good as I wanted to, but I still received the blessing of hope and the community and the products and all the things that I got on my journey because I chose to believe. That is my heart for you, and I hope that you guys will hear my heart. And if you want to ignore me, feel free to ignore it. It is not to pressure you in any way, but it is to give you what I know is the hope of heaven, and is the only thing that helps me to know that when I lose a loved one, that we are promised eternity together, and that this is not the end for us. This is not the end. And I believe that with all of my heart. But she says that she listened to a Tony Robbins training, and she said that he said, if you're going to blame your hard times for all the things that go wrong in your life, he said, you better also blame them for the good stuff too. And she says she was stunned to have something tangible to explain the way she felt about her brother's death. She said, you're not supposed to acknowledge the good things that come out of trauma. There's something perverse and unhealthy in it. It seems wrong to look for any silver lining, because it means that that means appreciating something terrible that happened to you. And you guys, this is something that is such a truth, that people go through hard times. The first time they find themselves laughing after they've experienced a loss, they feel guilty because they're like, oh my gosh, I was happy. And I shouldn't be happy because I suffered this awful loss. Or it's me not honoring the person that I am grieving over. I should still be grieving. And you guys, honestly, I don't know a person on this earth that if we died today, I would love it if all of you, were talking and laughing about the silly and crazy things I did whenever I was here, when you talk about me whenever I'm gone, instead of crying for me. I want you to live. My whole life has been helping people live life to their fullest. When I die, I don't want you to cry. I want you to just keep living and go, man, look at what, she did, and she was so silly in it, or whatever. It's okay to laugh and to have fun and to remember the sweet times that you have with the people that you've done life with and you've loved so much. And find the good in it, find the silver lining in it, because that's what we have to do in every part of the hard in our life, whether it's losing somebody or struggling in your business or losing a title. What is the silver lining in it? What is the gift in it? What is it that you can be grateful for? I know whenever my brother was going through a divorce, him and my niece and nephew lived with us for a couple of years, and they, my little niece and nephew, my sister-in-law at the time, I love her dearly and we're friends today, but she would call me and be so angry that the kids would come to her on her time with them and tell them that I told them that they needed to be grateful. And she was appalled that I would tell her kids that they should be grateful that their mom and dad were getting divorced. And that is not what I said at all, you guys. My little niece and nephew they were struggling in all of this, as any kid would. And they were ugly in our home at times. And our home is a home of peace and a home of love and care and a safe place. And I would discipline them whenever they were being ugly or ungrateful, because an ungrateful heart and an ungrateful attitude, no matter what your situation is, you guys, is harder and going to make your situation harder if all you see is the negative and you don't see what are the blessings in it for me? What are the positives? And so, I mean, there were times I would sit down and tell them, you know what? You need to be grateful that we are here for you and quit treating us poorly, because it's not our fault your parents are getting divorced. We are simply giving you and your daddy a place to live until he can get this for himself and help you guys figure out whatever you do. If your mom and dad end up back together, we're excited. That would be our dream for your family. But we don't have the power to fix that. Only your mom and dad do. And what I want you to understand is that we're here to help you, and it is not okay to treat us this way. And they were little, you guys. They were 5 and 7. And I was having this conversation with them. But teaching them how to be grateful. Today, those kids come to my home and they talk about the memories they had in our home. And they talk about the joy that they had, because they learned how to find the grateful and how to be grateful and to look at the blessings in their life, even though you're going through the hard. What hard are you going through right now? Do you see and can you see any blessings in it for you? Are you learning something about you that you didn't know before you went through this hard? Are you? And if you are, be grateful for that. Let that be a silver lining around your heart. Let that be a blessing for you. But it's not that we're grateful that you're experiencing something hard, but we've got to be grateful in the hard if we want to be able to receive blessings and gifts and goodness that can come out of it, you guys. If you don't see it and you can't be grateful for it, you're going to miss it, and you will never, ever have more than anything hard. That's it. Life will always be harder for you because you can't see gratefulness and goodness and gifts in anything. So, but anyway, that's looking for the lion, and I have to see where I'm at because I always get way off track. So she said that she couldn't allow, she had to not allow that loss of her brother to destroy her, and she had to choose to live through it. And you guys, that is where I believe more than anything, we honor, like I said, we honor the people that we lose by being grateful and being able to keep on living and talk about what it is they taught us on their journey and the blessings and the gifts and the memories that we had on their journey, and keep living. It takes time because it's that grief work, that grief process, and we have to learn how to do that. But that's honoring the people that we love in a way that I know they would love for us to honor them. So that is what she had to learn how to do. And she said, you can't ignore your pain. You can never leave it behind. The only thing you can do is find a way to embrace the good that came out of it. And she said, but the worst thing, she said, losing her brother was the worst thing, but it does not define her life. And you guys, that is so true. And it's so hard to get there when it's somebody that's so close to you. It isn't who you are. Loving, she said, you can survive losing a piece of your heart without losing the core of who you are. More than merely surviving the loss, you can thrive. And that is hope, you guys. That's the hope that I know that we get to have. And if we didn't have it, man, I would not want to have this life, because
we're always going to suffer loss in some way or another. And the longer you live, the more you get. And the more people you guys love in Arbonne, the more loss you're going to get to suffer with people. I mean, there's so many people in my life right now because of Arbonne that I ache for and hurt for that I wouldn't if it wasn't for Arbonne. But you know what? I wouldn't miss it for the world. I wouldn't miss out on the gift of the love and the relationship and the friendship. That's what I'm grateful for. I could sit here and go, you know, I really wish I didn't have to suffer this. I didn't know about this and I didn't have to be sad or whatever. Heck no, I never think that. I never even think that about my Arbonne journey. I'm like, I never sit there and go, I wish I hadn't had the hard times. You guys, it is only the hard times that I honestly remember because it's what taught me the most. It's what gave me my best gifts were my hard times in Arbonne, my hard times in my nursing career, my hard times in my life, hard experiences. And like my sister, when she went to prison and I was just like this total mess. I was the biggest wreck I'd ever been in my life and had, you know, prided myself in self-control and discipline and all of those things. And when my sister went to prison and my little nieces, 6 and 12 years old, were left without a mom, and I had no idea where my, you know, what it was like for my sister, and I was just freaking out. And I had no control. It was whenever I learned, and a friend of mine gave me a book called When I Lay My Isaac Down, which is a story in the Bible about a man who had to give his son and trust his son's life with God. And God blessed him and, you know, protected his son and provided for him, and he was able to keep him. But it was like when he laid him down and gave him up was when he got peace. And that was the biggest gift I ever got, was during that hard time with my sister and learning, quit hanging on so tight and let people go. I let you guys go in Arbonne. If I hung on as tight as I wanted to, I'd make myself crazy and I'd make you crazy trying to build you an Arbonne business. Letting you go and laying you down and trusting you and what you want to do with this is my gift for me, because I went through the hard with my sister. I learned how to let go. I learned how to let people, lead people, love people, help people, equip people, empower people, but then trust you and let you go do with that what it is you choose to do with it. And that was a gift in my heart. But what are your gifts? What are the things that you get when it's hard? Because I will tell you guys, I remember those more than the easy. I don't remember gifts when they're easy at all. And if you do, write them in, because I don't. I learn everything through my hard. So make no mistake, she says, the only way is to fight through it. She said, pain and trauma are violent whirlpool and they drag you under if you don't battle to stay afloat. There will be times, especially in the beginning, when it will take everything within you to keep your head above the waves. And you guys, that's the early stages, and where you don't know what to do with it. It's brand new, it's fresh, and that's the thing with Arbonne. So many people quit in the early stages of Arbonne because when they get hit with these waves of hard in their business, they're so inexperienced with it, and it's why we have to try to stay so close, and why we beg people, stay connected, don't disconnect, because you will die if you disconnect from Arbonne. And because we're going to teach you how to get through those hards. But if people disconnect, or you as leaders don't stay connected with people and keep them close to you, and you can't control that, you guys. Just like me trying to control what happened to my sister, we have to equip and lead and help, but we can't control whether people stay close to us. But we can encourage and we can try our best to help stay close to people so that we can help them get through their hard in the inexperienced time that they have, so that as they get better, they're going to be able to get through their hard and remember those skills that they learned, just like the grief work. It's the same thing, you guys, just different situations. And when you learn how to get better at it in Arbonne or another area of your life, it's going to be what helps you get through hard and get better at things in other areas of your life. But it's all the hards in our life that are going to help us do that. So she says that experience is what helps. And she says you learn how to swim against the current. The friction you'll face will build muscles and bones and will basically strengthen you for the journey that you have before you. And she says the toughest one you've ever taken, surely, but you will be something greater because of it. You have to, because otherwise, what's the point, you guys? That's the glory in it. That's the beauty in it, is that you get to be somebody you weren't because before you went through something hard. In Arbonne and in life, you are becoming something that you would have never become if you hadn't had the heart. And I mean, I was just telling my mom, this week whenever I was with her, that I was so grateful for our heart, and that I honor and love and respect my parents so much, even though I talk about how, financially destitute we were. I would not miss a second of my childhood and living in a house that should have been demolished and being called the junkyard babe and sitting with my mom in front of a little tiny treasure chest box and her helping me dream of a vision of a pretty home that we were going to have, and that these were going to be the pretties that we got to put out in our home whenever we got one, and to keep us dreaming that life wasn't always going to be that hard for us. And if it was in my heart that I got the overcoming spirit, and that I can't care enough about what people think about me, because if I did, we would be junk all our lives, because that's what they thought about us. And I love that the heart. I hate it that my kids, the hardest part about being blessed in Arbonne as a family is that you have to try to teach your kids how to not take it for granted, how to still be able to work hard and take responsibility for their life. And you guys, for people that are successful in Arbonne and building a successful business in Arbonne, as a parent, I will tell you, I reminded my kids on a regular basis, the life you live right now, and whether you have Arbonne or not, it's the life that you and the whoever you are building it with worked for. Your kids are just simply receiving the fringe benefits of your hard work and your commitment to hard work and providing that for them. What they decide to work for is the kind of life they're going to get to live. And it's true. You can ask any of my kids. I mean, they get little blessings from us, like we'll give them something we're no longer using, but we don't give them money. We give them hands up. We don't give them hands out. And you guys, it's some of the hardest things I have to do is to not go buy things or pay for things or give them things that might make it easier on them, because you know what? I know they would miss the gift of what's going to help them get what they need and become who they need to become. If I do, I'm robbing them of a gift by taking away their heart. Don't take away your kids' heart. Let them have the heart, because they're going to learn more and believe in themselves more and become stronger in the heart than they will if you take away their heart. You're interfering with the work that's being done in their life if you run interface with the heart. So, but it's not easy when you're so blessed. And that's the same, you guys, in Arbonne. When we try to run interface with our team and make some things easier, sometimes people probably wish we would do more for you. But you guys, can I tell you, we're robbing you of your heart if we do that. I probably look like one of those leaders that look like I don't care enough and I don't do enough for people in the stages of their businesses at different times in their businesses. But if I did any more than I do, and probably I do more than I should probably at times in all honesty, but if I did more or a leader did more, you are robbing them of the heart, because until they're out there doing it, even if they're bad at it, you guys, they're never going to believe they can do this on their own without you. And when you quit doing it for them, their business dies because you quit on them. And there's so many ugly things that happen when we do more than we should, instead of letting people go through the hard and figure out the gifts and figure out how to get better in this cycle and in this process of Arbonne, just like we have to figure out the cycle and the process in life with the hard things. So she says the things that helped her, you guys, get through the hard emotional things is she went through therapy. And I have no problem with that. I believe if you're a believer, I believe in a Christian therapist, because there are some weird and funky things that other people say to you out there that are not true. And so I totally believe, but also just talking to somebody that has gone through it. Like she says, talking about it, she says, not just with a therapist, but with another person you trust. And you guys, that was one of the greatest gifts that I got whenever I worked with my kids with cancer, especially the teenagers, the preteens and the teenagers. They couldn't talk to their parents because they didn't want to hurt them. With the truth of what they were going through. And they would talk to me. They loved talking to me. And I felt so honored and so blessed that these kids were bearing their heart and their soul and their fears and all of the things that they were going through and feeling, and letting me help them work through that, because they couldn't even tell those things to their parents because they were afraid. Same with like parents that lose a child. Like sometimes you don't talk to each other as much as you need to because you try to protect that person, and it's normal, and it's probably even okay, because sometimes two people are hurting so much they don't have much left to help anybody else, but just using every fiber of their strength and their being to get through their hard. But find somebody, the right somebody. Don't go to another, if you're a wife, don't go to another man and talk to them about your innermost feelings. Go to a trusted friend that a girlfriend, some other mom that's going through what you're going through, and share your innermost soul, or somebody that you know who can help you, or just listen to you. Sometimes that's all you need, is not having somebody try to fix it, because we can't fix some of those hearts. I can fix some Arbonne hard problems. I can't fix some of the hard emotional problems, but I can listen, and I can help you know what I did to get through a hard like that sometimes, if it's not the same, but similar. So, but be careful who you go talk to, you guys, because you can create another whole problem by accident, simply because you were just hurting so bad. You were looking for somebody to feel better with. And that can cause a hurt that will just keep hurting and creating more hurt down the road. So make sure that that person is where it can always stay safe, even if it's by accident. Sometimes those things happen that cause more hurt. So be wise in who you choose to talk to, but talk to people. And sometimes it is going to be where you have to talk to people that are not going through it in the same way you are. Sometimes it's comforting to talk about it with each other, because like when parents lose or kids lose a parent, sometimes your sibling's hurting as bad as you hurt. But you know what? You also know that is the only person in the world right now that knows your pain and understands it, and talking to them and sharing with them is sometimes the most comforting thing. So if you can talk to a spouse, if you've lost a child or something like that, sometimes it's hard to talk to them, but the sweetest and most probably best gift you could ever get is sharing it with them, because they're the ones that feel it as much as you do. And that's the same. I know we just had, two precious girls in our organization lose their mother tragically this week. And they are the only ones that know that pain. And I know that they've enjoyed the love and the support from all their Arbonne family, but I also know they're clinging to each other right now to get through it and know, well, what did you do today? To get through not having mom here today. So that is where you're going to get your best help, you guys, and just be careful with that. Either talk to the person who knows exactly how you feel, or be careful who you talk to, so that you don't end up creating on accident another problem that will create more problems and it just make a mess. So 3, she said, make yourself think about it. And this is something I had never heard in any of my training, but I thought it was really good, because it gave you permission to not feel guilty when you don't think about it. Again, I've heard all of this from families that I've worked with in the past, you guys, and they talk about how they felt guilty because they didn't just sit around and, think and mourn the person that they've lost. And I think it's a cool idea for her to say, set a timer and give yourself this time, but give it an appointment, more or less. It's not like you're going to not think about them at other times, but you're not going to feel guilty on the times that you, your head and your heart went somewhere else, or that you experienced a joy, or you laughed, or you smiled after the loss of something so tragic. So that I thought was a really cool idea for somebody to have as a resource in their grief work that they're doing. The next chapter, the lie, I can't tell the truth, you guys. This chapter, it talks about her process through adoption, and they got somebody called in on accident, or not on accident, called in and accused them, because anybody can, of child abuse and stuff, and they got wrongly accused and had to walk through this journey. And I just want to say on this, like, you guys, so many times when we are doing good and our intentions are so good that they're interpreted to be bad, or they're talked about as bad, or they're seen as bad, or you're being accused of being bad in it, that's going to happen. I mean, I know when I started Arbonne, I wanted to give hope to the world. I wanted to help everybody have better health, better skin, better wellness, all of the things, better financial health. I wanted to give this away and help everybody get what it is they needed for their life. And I had people talking about how, she only wants us to do that so that she can get successful. And I know it's a minor thing compared to what she's talking about she went through, but that's what people can accuse you of whenever you are doing Arbonne and offering them Arbonne. But what you have to know is trust your heart. Like, that's why I love our 5 key point ask. And that number 2 point says connect the dots. It forces you to think about, what is this going to do for the other person? What blessing could this give them? And it makes it totally take the focus off. I need this to go district this month. I need this to go area this month. You're not looking at your goal. You're looking at, what can this do for another person? And that is your heart. And when you do that and you are going with that foundation, you don't have to worry about what somebody else thinks about you. You need to just stand in your truth. And I told that to my kids. Like, think about it, you guys. There is, to me, the most insulting thing you can do to me is question my character, because I am such a person of character. And whenever people accuse me without ever coming to me, I get that it may look like I may be doing something wrong, but when you accuse me without giving me a chance first to have my story be heard, that's whenever I am totally offended and hurt to the core. So I get that happens in people. But what you have to do is hurt is not your, or anger, and anger response is not your first emotion. There's something that happens first to then make you angry. Whenever I get angry that people question my character, I look back and I go, well, it's because I'm hurt. I'm hurt that they didn't believe and trust me, or even love me enough to want to hear what my side of that story is before I ask them, before they decide and make their final decision. You guys, and that is, yes, we have to listen to other people, you guys. This happens a lot in our business. We have to hear what other people are thinking, saying, and seeing, because perception is real to everyone. Their perception of us is real. And I get that. Like, you may see me doing something that you think is wrong, and that is real to you. I need to know what that is, and I want to hear it from your perspective. But I also want to be able to say, this is my perspective on it, and this is what my intentions were, and let's figure out a way that we can come together and let this be something that we grow from and learn from and help each other with. And then we can grow in it. So we're going to have times where what we are doing is perceived different than what we intend it to. Just like, she was having to, things they had to assume guilty instead of innocent. That's okay. But give people a chance to say what they're seeing, and hear, and take the opportunity that, without anger, but with an honest, sincere heart, go, okay, well, this is what I meant. This is what I was trying. But if this is how it seems to you, I will learn how to do it different with you. That's what we have to do as a leader, you guys. John Maxwell talks all the time about taking the high road. And there have been times that I've been accused of things in this journey, and I'm like, okay, you know what? That's not true, but I get to just keep loving you and working harder to show you that is not what I am doing. This is what I'm doing, and make the adjustment be so obvious that you can't deny my heart in it for you. That's the thing, you guys. Do we have a heart to help rise above the hard and the accusations and the things that you're going to go through? Because the more people you have in your business and your organization, the more personalities and just things are you're gonna have more things you have to learn how to deal with, and you've got to get good at it. But what I will tell you is the thing that keeps me strong and keeps me able to keep on, even though sometimes I'm being accused of doing something bad and all the good that I'm really trying to do, is I stand in my truth. I know my truth. I know my heart is to help other people with every single thing I have inside of me. That is my heart. It is my mission. It is my passion. So also, if that's my heart, I'm going to stand in that truth. I'm going to not get angry. I'm going to look at it with eyes that try to see what they're seeing. And then I'm going to try to grow and adjust as a leader and take the high road in this situation and figure out what I can do to get better and help this person trust me more with everything I'm trying to help them do, so that they will continue to grow with me and see the goodness in it. You guys, and in every way, we all grow when we do that. If we don't get angry and we don't cut off a relationship and we don't cut off, our time from people that have done that to us. Sometimes you have to set some boundaries. But in Arbonne, you guys, really, there's not anything that anybody's thinking that's so vindictive that we have to just chop them out of our life. We just need to love them through it, see through their eyes, and learn as leaders, what can we do to help them trust our love even more? And if that means I need to love, it's just like your kids. I love Lindsay and Blake the same amount. There is no way I would stand in front of one and take a bullet and let the other one be, at a loss. I could not pick which one I love more, but I love them completely different. And that's the same thing we have to do in Arbonne, you guys. We have all these different personalities that come in our business because we're in a people business. We have to learn how to love people the way they need to be loved. And as leaders, we have to love them just like we love our kids. We love our kids differently. We got to love all of our team differently. And sometimes that's frustrating because you're like, well, why don't they just, and it's like, yeah, well, it would be nice if they would, but they don't. And if you ever want to grow a team that trusts your love, you're going to have to show them how hard you're willing to work for their love. And yes, it sounds crazy that you should work for their love. You're really working for the trust. That's it. You're not working for love. You're working for the trust. And trust takes work. Trust takes time. Trust takes evidence. You have to make emotional deposits in an emotional bank account and build up positive trust before you can, so that you can survive the negative hits that every relationship is going to have and struggle and encounter over a relationship time. Does that make sense, you guys? So that is where we have to, speaking of kids, one of them is calling me, we have to stay strong. So it says, in this chapter, she says that there were so many blessings that came through all of that hard. She said through that accusation and them having to cling together as a family. It was just like us whenever we went through our hard with Arbonne. We had a family meeting when we first found out about Arbonne, and we decided we're going to cling together. We're going to partner together. We're going to CCPP, and we're going to work this and create this together as a family. And because we went through that hard of not doing life so great before Arbonne, and then we decided to partner in it, fixing it with Arbonne, we became a stronger team family because of it. And that's what she said. They built a stronger marriage. They had a stronger pact. We knew it was us against the world, and that was the mentality, and we would team break. We did all of those things to just help our kids buy into this goal that we had and this dream that we had for our family, and then going to work on it. She says, I can think of so many good things that came out of all that happened, which gives me the courage to keep taking another step. And she says, it's why I'll stay hopeful even when I'm feeling weary. And you guys, that's my life verse, is Galatians 6:9. Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the right time you will reap a harvest. And that is what I had to do whenever I was raising my kids and I was weary and tired. I mean, Lindsay would even, when Blake would be wearing on me, and she's like, Mom, don't grow weary. Don't grow weary. And that's probably why I made that my life verse, because she was that sweet little innocent voice telling me, stay strong, Mom. Don't quit. Don't quit being hard on him. Don't get frustrated. just keep going because it's worth it. He hears you. I know he hears you. He tells me things that he doesn't tell you. And I know today that is all true, but it's also true in your Arbonne business, you guys, and with people in your team that you're going to have to do life with, even whenever they're accusing you of not doing it for the right reasons. Don't grow weary. Don't grow weary in helping them grow. Don't grow weary in staying strong in your Arbonne journey, even though people outside of Arbonne may be accusing you of doing something wrong or whatever. Don't grow weary in just keeping on with where you have been led and into a vehicle that is going to make a difference for people that are wanting you to talk to them. You're going to find the right people, and you're going to help grow people in every way along the way. Even people that aren't in Arbonne are going to watch you and maybe never do Arbonne, but they're going to watch you get successful, and they're going to learn that, you know what, I didn't think this person could do what she did or he did. So, but they did it anyway. And so maybe I can come over here and do something. I know Tammy Higginbotham talks about how Gary, when Tammy got successful in Arbonne, not that Gary wasn't supportive, but him watching her work hard and hit a goal helped him believe he could go back and, after years of being out of law school, take the bar and pass it for the first time. And today is a successful lawyer out making a difference with people in his life. And so you guys, that's what we're doing when we don't grow weary in doing good, even though you may be being accused of being bad. So she says the things that she did that helped her was she took the plunge, and she found the courage to be honest about who you are and what you're going through. And it's just like us, like, we could keep living the lie before Arbonne, and we could have just kept saying, yeah, we're great. We have a house in a gated community with cars, with kids, and all the activities. Life is great. Or we could take the plunge and go, life stinks, you guys. We are struggling. Our finances are a mess, and we need to just decide we're going to do something about it and not care what the rest of the world thinks about us, because this is what we need to do that's the right thing for us and our family. And we took the plunge. We went out and said, I'm doing Arbonne because we are tired of living life this way. We're tired of Philip being a paycheck, not a dad and a husband. The second thing she said, seek out truth tellers. And you guys, I don't know how many times you realize how many times she says, go find somebody who is a wise mentor for you. And you guys, you have those people in Arbonne in your leadership because they've gone before you, your area, your region, your nation, and the community that we get to live with. These are wise people in your Arbonne world. Find somebody like that in your other world. And sometimes they're the same people. I have wise mentors in my life from my Arbonne team that help me in life outside of Arbonne events. And then 3, research stories similar to your own. And I think that's good. Like, I love that they're putting the Eye on Arbonne stories back in Arbonne boxes, you guys, because those are stories of people, of lives that are helping you believe that when you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get what you need for your life because they did. And you're researching those stories and why they're so powerful and why leaders in Arbonne have fought so hard to have those back in the boxes. So that's what I have for you guys. I know these were sometimes like hard chapters, and maybe, you know, maybe ones where it's hard to align your thoughts with my thoughts. But I hope that you learned and got something out of it that helps you to be able to make decisions that will bless you through the hard and find the grateful in the hard. I love you all. Have a wonderful week, and we will come back together next week. We are going to do Dare to Dream, Work to Win as our next book club. If you guys want to start getting your books for that, if you want to join me and participate in that, that'll be our next one. And I love that book. So I love you guys. Have a wonderful day, and go finish your March out strong. We are having an incredible March, and people are hitting goals. We're creating momentum, and there will be lots of drafting that comes off of that. So stay strong. Don't quit. Your goals can all happen still this month. And as long as we keep working, it's all we've got till the buzzer rings. Love you guys.